In addition to using the Om Gym, with both the slings and handles for poses, there are many, many postures that you can do using either component individually. Today we're going to remove the sling and use just the handles for some nice deep stretching and muscle toning. The placement of the handles is such that the bottom handles are just above ankle height, around 5 inches from the floor. You're going to take your upper handles and release yourself down on your knees, directly underneath the point of suspension. We can start with the knees hip-width apart here, and drawing yourself up nice and tall. Remember to engage the abdominal muscles here, so that your pelvis is in a posterior tilt, and your lower back is nicely released. And we're going to take a nice deep breath, and as we exhale, we're just going to drop back, round the spine, just sink down into your heels, into your shoulders, hug your rib cage in, breathe here. And inhale, we're going to lift the heart and bring ourselves into a cobra. Pull down on your handles. Reach with your chin away from you. And move the shoulders away from your ears. If you have head issues here, neck issues rather, keep your head forward like this. You can still do the pose like this. But otherwise, if you roll the shoulders away from the ears, the back of the neck will not be compressed. And you can lengthen through the chin. And draw yourself up nice and slowly. And drawing the elbows in alignment with the shoulders, keeping the belly tucked in. We're going to release ourselves forward into a deep shoulder stretch here. Push down into the tops of your legs. Pull the belly in, tailbone down. So you feel the pull all the way up the front of your torso. And slowly draw yourself back up. If your hands feel cramped, you can always wiggle your fingers a little bit to release the tension. We're going to bring our knees together this time. Elbows remain in front of your straps. And taking a nice deep breath, release yourself slowly over to your right side, coming into half moon. Drop into the right rib cage. Revolve the left shoulder forward a little bit. That feels wonderful. And we're going to come up nice and slow. Take a deep breath and go over to the other side. So, we're going to take our left leg and extend it straight out to the side. We're going to come into gate pose. Transfer your hand over to the upper left handle and take your left hand to the middle handle. And we're going to reach over, lengthening even on both sides of your body as you exhale, round up slowly and then pulse a few times. And one more time. And now, curl the toes up of the bottom foot and see if you can reach those toes and take a hook and pull yourself into a stretch here, pulling down with your top hand so that your right side of your heart lifts up towards the ceiling. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can bring your hand down to the floor and draw toward your leg. Just fall into your leg. Good, and come on up. And we're going to change position of the legs. And transfer the left hand over to the right side this time. Take a nice deep breath and stretch over that leg. I like to push down into the handles to help lengthen through the spine, dropping my right rib cage closer to the thigh, and then inhale, come up. And again. And one more time. And holding it here, let's bring the toes up. See if you can catch those toes. If you cannot reach your toes, you can just place your hand on your legs if you like, or even just fingertips on the floor. I just want to catch the toe to pull myself into a bit of a deeper stretch. And drawing yourself up nice and slow. You can find both upper handles. And this time we're going to step the left foot forward and come into a lunge, dropping the hips towards the front of the mat. Take a moment once again to lift and lengthen through the front of the torso by pulling down on your handles. And Let's bring ourselves into a crescent pose, a high lunge position. And you can take a moment here and just pulse a little bit, moving into the hips, waking those hips up. And again, we're going to introduce a side-to-side stretch, taking the right hand over to the left. We're going to stretch here. And we're going to cross over to the other side. The nice thing working with handles is you can do this pose when you're in crescent. You can't do this without the help of handles. So it really helps to move into some deeper stretches that wouldn't be normally available to you. Now we're going to take the right elbow over to the left knee for our prayer twist. Remember to pull a little bit with the top hand and push with your elbow to lift the chest up and away from the thighs. And coming back down. We're going to release the knee and we're going to straighten that front leg. And we'll start first by taking the middle handles and turning the toes up nice and high. We're going to lengthen over that leg into a nice hamstring stretch here. And you can roll up here and add a little pulse and stretch. Now, for a deeper stretch, take your hands down to the lower handles. This is optional. If doing it with your hands on the middle handles is enough for you, then just stay there. Now we're going to shift forward. Come back into our lunge and push down on the handles to lift the chest. We're going to lift the back leg. I'm going to straighten the front foot, stretching into a split. So drop the hips and then gently pulse. Pressing down, straighten. And I'm pushing down into the handles to lift the chest this time rather than pulling. And now we're going to transition again into plank. So pushing firmly down, see if you can draw your left leg back to meet your right foot. Pull the belly in and the tailbone down. You can always do this on your knees if it's too hard to do it with your legs lifted off the floor. And now we will transfer our knees to the mat and we'll release into a nice cat stretch. Lengthening, drop the chest to the floor, and beginning with the tailbone, slowly roll up the spine. And inhale. And roll up the spine. And we'll try that one more time because it feels really great. It's a wonderful stretch, great way to stimulate circulation in the spine. And just sweep the arms to the right and pause for a moment, tightening those oblique muscles on the right side, and then release through the center over to the left and pause here. And let's just swing freely a couple more times to loosen up the back. This feels really good, helps tone the ligaments and joints. And slowly round all the way back. And finding the upper handles again, we're going to switch legs.